Jimmy Kimmel in talks with Disney execs to negotiate return of late night show. They would be mad about that. Right now, I think the way MAGA's been acting, I think the broader perception on the right, a little Wyvoshy reading the New York Post, because if you have good media literacy skills, you can usually try to determine the legitimacy of what you're reading, regardless of where you're getting it from. You can get tons of information from the New York Post. You read lots and lots of stuff, and you try to work out what you think is true and what isn't. So when I said, lol, we'll figure out how this pans out, that's me saying, like, I don't think there's any credible information here or determinably credible information here to work with. Right now, it just seems messy. No idea what's true or not. So but it's an important skill to have, because otherwise you're relying on the perceived credibility of the organizations that you trust. But what if you were somebody who trusted Ezra Klein because he was anti-Trump in 2016? What if you were a person who trusted the New York Times because they've been highly considered to be, or widely considered to be highly credible, but it turns out the New York Times is actually a slop rag for, right-wing Zionists, right? You can't just trust the source. You have to trust the way the information is presented to you. Anyway, what was I saying? The right would be pretty mad if Kimmel came back. Indefinite hiatus, because I feel like the way they've been talking about Jimmy Kimmel, the way they've been talking about him, is that he's gone for good. Keep in mind, again, the government did not oust him. Disney ousted him because they were worried about the government. But if the government actually tried to oust Jimmy Kimmel, they would lose. They would lose that court case. They would fail if they tried to directly. The most they can do is put pressure on ABC. But ABC, which is owned by Disney, is an obscenely powerful company. Like an impossibly... Disney, on its own, if it wanted to, could wage war against the Trump administration. The reason they don't is because they're evil. They're evil and weak and lazy and stupid and evil. These like mega companies, these mega conglomerates have an enormous amount of power. And also evil. The long-running show was officially yanked from the air Wednesday, and Kimmel has since refused dozens of calls to apologize. Hopefully he keeps that up. The worst-case scenario is that Kimmel comes back, and he will, in some form or another. If Kimmel comes back and he capitulates, and he's like, sorry, my apologies, God Emperor Trump, my apologies for wounding your son with my words or whatever, that would be worst-case scenario. Best case scenario, and I'm gonna pitch the ball in the opposite direction of the field. Best case scenario would be Kimmel comes back, is unapologetic, and he essentially says, we apologize only for pausing this program. Come at me, bro. Good luck litigating my removal. Okay, we'll see how that goes in court. At which point the FCC and Brendan Carr, who is a psychopath, would have no choice but to run through legal channels, which are slow and inelegant. My only hope is that, because listen, okay, I'm going to make an argument that is not even morally weighted. I'm going to make a purely utilitarian argument for Disney here, even if you think fascism and democracy are equally good, okay? From Disney's perspective, Trump obviously does not give a that you capitulated. He still hates ABC. Like, you gave him tens of millions for his phony lawsuit over censoring the Kamala Harris interview. You can Jimmy Kimmel for no reason, all to capitulate to him. And what do you get for it? ABC reporters are still shit-talked by Trump directly to his face at the Oval Office. You've gotten nothing for it. So here's the real question, okay? You know Trump only has so much time left. Trump is old, but Disney is eternal, all right? Weather this. Fight with all of your thousands of lawyers. You have the best legal team on the planet. Fight everything that you need to. Imagine how good you'll look when we come out the other side. I mean it. Just think about it. Rather than kowtowing and myopically bowing the knee to an ancient dictator who has unstable legal footing, who doesn't win his lawsuits, why not plant your feet in the ground, fight like hell, and look like heroes by the time the next administration rolls around? MAGA is temporary. Disney is eternal. MAGA is temporal. Disney has outlived regimes, multiple, okay? It outlived the Third Reich. It can outlive the Fourth, too. And this is all assuming you don't care about fighting fascism on its own. This is all assuming that you are ambivalent on the whole future of the country politically. It just doesn't make sense to capitulate. It's money. I don't actually think that it's this money. I don't think Disney Plus subscribers quitting are what matters. My guess is that what really matters is the Hollywood blacklist. Who the is going to want to work for Disney if this is how you get treated? Who is going to want to work as a director or an actor or whatever in any Disney project if you know that a single Trump tweet could kill your entire career? That Disney is so weak and feckless that just a mention of your name by Brendan Carr on a podcast, congratulations, buddy, everything is canceled. Get out. I don't necessarily think it's the Disney Plus subscribers, though that might be a part of it. I think it's that overwhelmingly, as bad as things have gotten, people in Hollywood do not like Trump. They just don't. Even if the executives are fine with Trump, the actual creatives in Hollywood despise Trump, and they always will because creatives hate dictators. They are mutually exclusive. They are incompatible forces. Creatives and authoritarians always hate each other. They always, 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 always do. The authoritarian mindset has no room in it for creative exploration. Not even for slop creative stuff, like half the stuff Disney makes, you know? What about alt-right creators? What the f*** are you talking about? You have no idea what you're talking about. You're just saying words. Marvel stars stand for Jimmy Kimmel. Pedro Pascal defends free speech while others endorse boycott. Hollywood stars, including those with Disney, ABC, Hulu, and Marvel Cinematic Universe credits, are continuing to show their support for the Jimmy Kimmel Live host in wake of his suspension. She-Hulk's actress quit over it. Well, that's nice. Pedro Pascal is extremely popular. Pascal's post came in the heels of other Marvel stars taking their support a step further by endorsing a boycott of the studio. That's a pretty big step, including platforms that stream their work. Marissa Tomei, who played Aunt May opposite Tom Holland's Spider-Man franchise, reposted a call to unsubscribe and boycott platformers under the Walt Disney Corporation, including Marvel, ABC, ESPN, Fox Entertainment, Hulu, Pixar, Lucasfilm, and BAMTech Media. Isn't that great? That's all Disney, by the way. Marvel, ABC, ESPN, Fox Entertainment, Hulu, Pixar, Lucasfilm, and BAMTech Media. Love my country. It does not matter to the right if Pedro Pascal doesn't like it. No. It's not about whether or not the right likes it. It's about, from a utilitarian perspective, whether or not Disney benefits from capitulating to this administration. This is why I said corporations have no problem throwing their weight behind the Republicans, but when the Democrats come around, they don't do the same. It's because the Democrats have signaled that there are no consequences to moving against them. Obama signaled this plenty well. So did Biden. If you're a right-wing corporation or a right-wing politician, like you do January 6th, or your Fox News and your hosts defend it and enable an insurrection attempt, the Democrats have signaled there are no consequences. You can try again. It does not matter. There will never be any consequences. It's all fine. It's all fine. Whereas with the Republicans, they're more than happy to punish, to be vindictive. There need to be consequences for being evil. How does society survive if there are no consequences to being evil? How? You can't. Evil needs to be punished. It's the only way we can survive. Do you want the Democrats to do what Trump and Carr is doing? I reject the premise because the Democrats could not, under my framework, do what Trump and Carr are doing. Trump and Carr are expanding their personal power as the executive branch by targeting political enemies. I'm talking about punishing people for being evil. Jimmy Kimmel is not punished here for being evil. If Jimmy Kimmel was evil, the administration would like him because they like evil. It's like the argument, well, the Hitler did to Jews what you want to do to murderers and child rapists. So, frankly, everyone has their target, right? I reject the premise. I think that good things are good, and I think that bad things are bad. I think that Jimmy Kimmel's great evils are that he's stupid and boring and inoffensive and tiresome. But I don't think these are things that need to be punished by the federal government. I think that these are banal evils. The Trump and Brendan Carr are going after him because they're trying to consolidate state power. Punishing people for attempting an insurrection of the government, I think that's a little more reasonable. But how do we punish them? Merrick Garland should have prosecuted a ton of people after J6, and he didn't. Or do you mean corporations? I think that you could very reasonably advocate that Fox News has overstepped even the incredibly minimal legal requirements that that news organizations occasionally have to do. With regards to slander and defamation, though those are civil, but also in terms of requirements under TV and radio broadcasting. I think there are multiple instances that you can point to. Also, you can push for a return to not necessarily fairness laws, but better truth-telling in news media. You can hold people to a higher standard. You can push relentlessly against their lies and against their misconduct. And sometimes direct punishment is necessary. Yeah, I don't think that there should be no consequences to the fact that a bunch of mega Silicon Valley corps are working with this administration to censor people's freedom of speech. The fact that all these social media companies ran over, gave money to the Trump inauguration fund, and are working hand in hand with him to help undermine freedom of expression, providing information to the federal government to assist them in, like, say, deporting people for being pro-Palestine. Dude, like, there's got to be a limit, man. There have to be consequences for trying to destroy the country. You can't just let them destroy the country, and then whenever they fail and the next administration rolls around, you get to go, woo! All right, well, you had your run. Time for 4 more years of banal, insipid do-nothings doing nothing before you get another shot. Well, he's wacky with him, a psycho. Anyway, I would love it for Jimmy Kimmel to come back. And man, I can't believe this administration is putting me in a position where I'm happy about the potential for Jimmy Kimmel returning. But, you know.
Is there any path to reinstatement for Jimmy Kimmel, who honestly occupies a very particular celebrity niche in LA?
He does. And I actually have some brand new reporting for you, Casey, just hearing from a source that yesterday Jimmy Kimmel had a meeting with Disney executives in the Century City law office here in Los Angeles with his lawyer, his manager, and Disney executives. I am hearing that there was no resolution, so we don't know what the path forward is yet. But as you said, I have heard from my sources that Disney...
Just keep in mind, again, Trump is historically unpopular. There is no president that has ever been this unpopular. He is the highest unpopularity rating at this point in his presidential term of any president in American history. So the idea, if you are a media corporation, to be capitulating to this guy when he's like 80 years old is insane. Insane. Like, you're not even throwing your weight behind a popular dictator. You're throwing your weight behind an unpopular dictator.
Is hopeful. They would like to find a way to bring him back, but obviously a lot of questions there that have to be answered, so that remains to be seen. But just now, we're not just hearing from the late night host that you just showed, we are also hearing from Conan O'Brien. Let me read you his tweet, and then I'm going to tell you why this is really significant. He says, quote, "The suspension of Jimmy Kimmel and the promise to silence other late-night hosts for criticizing the administration should disturb everyone on the right, left, and center. It's wrong, and anyone with a conscience knows it's wrong." Now, this is not just another comedian speaking out to support Jimmy Kimmel. This is Conan O'Brien, who hosts the Oscars for, well, ABC. He hosted the Oscars last year. Earlier this year, rather. He has already announced to host the Oscars next year in 2026. And part of the reason why Conan was hired to host the Oscars after Jimmy Kimmel had hosted for so many years is because he is a rather apolitical comedian. When I interviewed the head of the Academy before the Oscars, he told me that that was one of the reasons why they love Conan. He's a great comedian, but he's also apolitical. But what Conan is getting at in his tweet...
Yeah, that's not even true, by the way. Didn't Conan O'Brien used to write for The Simpsons? He's not. He's left-leaning. He's just like, he just keeps it under wraps, you know, for the broader appeal stuff. He's not... Does he even keep it under wraps? I hate this framework. I hate the idea that the way you push back against the partisanship of the Trump administration is with nonpartisanship. Like, that's how you beat fire, with room temperature air. What?
When he says it should disturb anyone on the right, left, and center, he is saying that this really goes above politics, that free speech is obviously fundamental in this.
Yeah. There's nothing political about free speech. Again, it's CNN. It's CNN. I know. But this exhausts me so goddamn much, dude. It is a right-wing framing, because you're basically telling people that even though the right wing is trying to take away your freedom of speech, this isn't a political battle against the right. You're confusing and disorienting people who would otherwise be united against something that's unambiguously right wing. Why the is it that cancel culture was universally considered to be a left-wing phenomenon because of a bunch of Tumblrites, not even Democratic officials, but now an unambiguous unilateral effort to destroy the Constitution is an apolitical move that just happens to be being enacted by the right now?
Country, and that comedians should be allowed to do that, politics aside. Now, one more tweet that I want to read to you from someone entirely different is former Disney CEO Michael Eisner.
Oh, I saw this one. This one was pretty funny. Eisner, listen, once you're out of the game, the shackles are off, buddy.
weighed in on all of this. He says, quote, "Where has all the leadership gone? If not for university presidents, law firm managing partners, and corporate chief executives standing up against bullies, who then will step up for the First Amendment?"
Oh, he said way more aggressive shit than this. Hold on. I'm pretty sure he said some like borderline Joker mode stuff. Okay, whatever.
Goes on to call the FCC's threats aggressive yet hollow, and he says just another example of out of control intimidation. And then he says, by the way, for the record, this ex-CEO finds Jimmy Kimmel very talented and funny. Now, final point, Casey, I will tell you, I am hearing from my sources across the industry that everyone is really waiting to see what ABC is going to do. They are firmly standing behind Kimmel. When I say that, I'm talking about the overall Hollywood artist community, and the artist creative community wants Disney to take a stand and to defend Jimmy Kimmel.
Fair enough.
This is one of the reasons why the creatives are almost always the first people squashed by authoritarian regimes. Keep in mind that, like, for a lot of creatives, the thing that matters most to them is the ability to say what they want. That's why every hack right-wing comedian, the only thing they have to say is like, "Oh, free speech, did I just say that?" It's really common, like the South Park guys do it too. It's the thing they're so obsessed with, you know. They're taken by it, you know. America is the cultural center of the world, without question. And as a consequence of that, our cultural, you know, our celebrities, our creatives, they have a lot of power. And there is just no way to square what they do with the whims of this administration. Art can't flourish in an environment where an errant joke can lead to your career being ended. Trump is not popular, and this will not last forever. And I don't think there's anything the administration can do to really squash Hollywood. Not in any meaningful sense, at least not for long. It's too much. We'll see how it goes.
Elizabeth Wagmeister with that reporting. Elizabeth, thank you very much for that. And our panel joins us now, congressional correspondent for the New York Times, Annie.
It's entirely possible that as a consequence of this administration's overreach, we're cementing in like a 50-year hatred for the right from everyone who even cares about like basic media. Like, I'm not even talking left-right divide or whatever. It's going to be the cancel culture shit times 10, where everyone's like, oh, conservatism, the Republican Party, the right-wing Trump? You mean that thing that led to those years of blight where everything was worse? Where everything objectively was worse economically, politically, and socially. There was a bunch of political instability, and also all of the, you know, comedians and sort of like cultural titans of the United States were perpetually upset with him.
National political reporter for Axios, Alex Thompson, the former DNC senior advisor, communications director, Xochitl Hinojosa, and the former speaker pro tempore of the House of Representatives, Patrick McHenry. We also have back with us for the second day our Arena text chain. You're going to see it on the left side of your screen. It's going to be another conversation that you can watch if you know, happen to have us on mute. You will see some additional analysis from some of.
What? Watch on mute? Shut the fuck up. We said the same about Trump's first term and people forgot about that. Not really. There's just, honestly, Trump did not do that much in his first term. The economy continued to move along more or less as expected. COVID happened in the last year, but the consequences of it were mostly felt by Biden, you know. And Trump didn't really get to do anything. Like, Trump wasn't able to be that censorious. Even though he was loud and boorish and brash, we didn't really feel the consequences of his governance that much because he was surrounded by people who tried to tone him down. You see Ted Cruz, of all people, pushing back against this move against Kimmel. Ted Cruz probably thinks he can be like the next Republican candidate. A bunch of people on the right now, including Gavin Newsom, are like eyeing up the seat and realizing sometime soon Trump will either die or be so unpopular that he can't get anything done, and there will need to be another type of Republican, and I better start laying the groundwork now so that I can be, you know, so that I can be the guy, the next guy.